Morning, everyone. Hey, this is Nathan and Chris from Molten Kettlebell Club.
Hey guys.
This is my 2 cents, our 2 cents.
Week 2,
Week
episode
2.
2.
Yeah. So this week we have just a few articles. One's actually a TED Talk video, and if you're not familiar with TED Talk videos, there are so many things on there that will blow your mind. I encourage you to check those out. But the one that we're looking at today is talking about how can you grow new brain cells. So one of the simple things is we think once we hit a certain age, we don't grow any new brain cells. In fact, we've probably been told that most of our lives, that you have an X amount of number, and if you do things like drugs, you're killing those off and you can never get them back. Well, the more they study the brain, we're finding out that you can actually grow new brain cells, but the question is, okay, so how? Well, you need to learn something new. And so I'm gonna actually come over here to Chris and have him just kind of share what his experience working with clients when he teaches them something new, like the deadlift or the swing, and how that can actually grow new cells for us. So if you want to
Right. Well, I think the natural learning curve you have to learning a new skill, period, develops the brain. But there's a lot of talk of like neuroplasticity nowadays and luminosity and all those different programs. But for me, what I try to get people to understand is that like we as a society are getting better understanding that the nervous system is a crucial part to what's going on throughout our entire body globally. That, we have muscles and joints and connective tissue, things like that, but it's like, what controls the muscle? Well, a nerve. Okay, well, where does the nerve go back to? The spine. Where does the nerve go from the spine, up to the brain? Each interchange, that nerve has a different responsibility, from muscle contraction to reflex to stimulus to sending messages, things like that. And we're starting to learn that that nervous system can be developed over time, and the old saying of you can't teach a dog a new trick is disappearing, because it's not learning new tricks and not challenging your nervous system that will cause it to almost go dormant or sort of atrophy, to a point where if it's not getting the stimulus, like we talk with a lot of our barefoot stuff we go through, small nerve stimulation of your feet. It's the same reason when somebody else scratches your back, it's like, you want to make a man purr like a walrus, just scratch his back. Like that small nerve stimulation goes a long way into the reflexiveness and the health of our nervous system. And that's the importance of chiropractic, even, of why we send so many people to chiropractic. Of there's debate of like, well, does a joint need mobility? Does it need movement? This and this and this. But the fact is, like, it's not just that there's a bone and a nerve coming out. There's tissue, and there's blood supply, there's artery, there's veins, there's a lot that goes into it, but it's all stimulus into the nervous system. And that now, the research is that they're finding the connections between the nervous system and the immune system. These lymphatic pathways between the brain and the nervous system. And so in chiropractic, we know that people who are adjusted chiropractically specifically have a better immune response. When they do the blood work and measurements, there's an increase in immune function, and that's where they're seeing this connection between the health of a nervous system and the health of the whole body. So that's why us doing rolling patterns and teaching these things that are challenging to you at first are actually helping you in a really big way, not just pain and strength.
Right. And I think the other aspect that you need to consider is when you're evaluating your own workout plan, are you doing the same thing each and every day, each and every week? You just go to any gym, you're gonna see those guys that are, and girls, that they do the same thing every time. They get out and run the same way through their neighborhood. They do all those things. That's not teaching you anything new. And oftentimes, like Chris is saying, when we get them barefoot and having them rolling around on the ground, they are surprised at how difficult this thing that you did as a child becomes, because you forgot to practice it. You stop practicing it. A child, you don't coach your children how to get up and crawl and walk and all that. You stand there and just gleam with excitement, like, wow, you're walking. But you didn't coach them through it. You didn't sit there and say, take this first step, take that second step. But as we become adults, we need that. You need that coaching to take you back to some of this stuff, but also to teach you new things. Because, one of the things I talk about all the time with my family is like the thought of retirement scares me, because I don't want to go to the point where I've been working my whole life trying to, consistently learning and practicing new things, and then go do nothing. Watch my own grandfather, life just deteriorate because he was in a very high demand field, always using his brain, and for the last 20 years he's been retired doing basically nothing. And so you can keep growing new brain cells. And the last thing I want to say on this article You know what's a surprising way to grow some new brain cells? Get some sleep.
Yeah.
Rest. You cannot just keep going, and taking 9-shot espressos and pre-workout and all the Red Bulls and Monsters. It disrupts your sleep, and if you're feeling tired, you can't think, get more sleep. It'll help those things that you're learning stick because you're creating those new neurons.
More time in your parasympathetic,
Right.
which is your rest and digest, your healing times. Sleeping, crying is parasympathetic.
Yeah.
And you got to think sympathetic nervous system is fight or flight, which is stress and cortisol, and which is a whole slew of inflammation, pain, all sorts of things associated with that. So the more parasympathetic you become, that resting and digesting of your nervous system is going to allow regeneration and development.
Right.
Cool. So we're going to link that article in for that TED Talk if you guys want to check out the article we're talking about. Otherwise, where are we going next?
The next one, I actually saw this one just this morning, and it's the social media world. We love to bash each other one way or another, but this article is saying muscle shaming is okay, but fat shaming isn't. And so it's one of the competitive bodybuilders giving this analysis like, you would never criticize somebody for being obese online, or at least we hope you're not. Culturally, we say that's a bad thing. But when it comes to a fitness competitor, somebody who's a bodybuilder, top level athlete, stuff like that, that we sit there and say, they look disgusting, I never want to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so this article is sitting there saying, like, why is it culturally incorrect to criticize an obese person posting a selfie online or a picture at the beach? But when we look at a female bodybuilder, it's okay to sit there and say, you're disgusting, you look like a man. Yeah. And so one thing that we kind of want to speak on that for the 2 cents aspect is, find what you like to do and pursue that. If you don't like bodybuilding,
Don't do it.
don't do it. One thing we get consistently is like, well, you guys don't look like trainers because you don't have a six-pack. Does that discredit who we are and what we do and how we do it?
Mm-hmm.
No. We spend a lot of time practicing what we do.
Yeah.
That's what matters, but the fact we're not strict dieting and getting a six-pack has nothing to do with the fact that we are who we are. We are human. We do eat sweets. We do have the occasional soda. We do, go out and enjoy time with our family and friends, but we also pay very close attention to what actually goes in the majority of the time.
Right.
And so, last few things I want to say on this, and I'll let Chris speak on it a little bit as well, is just remember, like, as we do these things online, just because you throw it out there doesn't mean it doesn't hurt someone. And let's build each other up. That's one of the things we want to do in our community, within our business, and like everything that we do. We want to be building each other up because there's enough of that negativity. And you don't want to look like a bodybuilder, don't train like one. You don't want to be a strong man, don't train like one. That's fine. Just pick whatever you love and then go after it.
Well, and I guess my 2 cents would be there. In my opinion, there's always been a multiple variety of body types. We're okay with short people, tall people. We're okay that tall and thin is a body type. Like, oh, you have a runner's body type. But for some reason, if somebody is short and heavy or tall and heavy, that is just something that apparently has never been in the equation.
Right.
And that person is going to feel terrible their whole life. And it's just, when people start accepting of just who you are and your life, that we are here for such a short blip.
Yeah.
And like what we see is really a projection of really how we feel.
Right.
And most of what you feel about the shaming and stuff is something internally,
Right.
the you spot it, you got it type of thing.
Yeah.
It's usually behaviors you have in yourself that you probably want to work through. But, if I'm going to spend my energy, the very limited energy I have to expend here while I'm on this planet, I can spend it cursing at the darkness, or I can spend it, lighting more candles.
Yeah.
I would rather light more candles than sit there and curse at the darkness. There's people who do things that I don't do, that I don't agree with, that I don't train that way, that might be damaging to people, but it's not my mission to go after them. Some people it is, and they're after a big culture change and paradigm shift. I would rather just help as many people as I can by lighting their candle, by helping them, enhance their lives through movement, mobility, and strength, and teach them that strength on the inside is actually strength really global. And Jim Carrey says, you know, I spent my life trying to do something that was bigger than me, but then it took somebody smarter than me to make me realize there is nothing bigger than me.
Yeah.
You know, like you are what you project this world to be, and this environment is what you make it. And so when I get nitpicky into shaming this body type, that body type, you know, it's no different than picking on tall or short or, you know, short legs, long torso. There's so many different body types that I just choose my 2 cents to say, why do we even talk about it? If you want to be big and muscly, be big and muscly. If you want to be, you know, small, compact powerlifter, be that.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to be world's strongest man body type, big chest, big legs, be that. You know, so that's just my 2 cents, I guess.
Well, another thing I think I learned very early on is I you know, as much as I idolized Arnold Schwarzenegger, I was not Arnold Schwarzenegger, shocker, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the fact my body type was not the same as his, he had that really small waist and those really broad shoulders. I ended up finding the ones that I looked more like in terms of just actual body type. When I started doing their things, I started getting better results because I was training for my body type.
Yeah.
And so, you know, one thing, like my wife, I think was built for kettlebells. She just rocks what she does with the kettlebell. She's just good at it. And like her body responds really well. And she wouldn't have told you that's what she thought she was training for. She wants to be, you know, like, oh, I need to be this X amount of weight. And I keep asking her why. Why do you want to be that? Well, that's just what I keep telling myself. It's like, you don't thrive there.
Yeah, it's a projection of her own mindset becoming reality.
Yeah.
Because she has told herself that. So take a read over the article. Let us know what you think. You know, again, it's just our opinion. Take it for what it's worth. The last one is going to be your article of the week that we think is the most important thing. If you're going to read anything, practice anything, this is the article, and it is an article by Craig Marker in Breaking Muscle about the Turkish Get Up. We also did a brain candy video earlier this week breaking down the Turkish Get Up. So if you want a video, go back on our page, a few posts, and you'll see it. Otherwise, go to this Breaking Muscle article called Movement Medicine, Breaking Down the Turkish Get Up. You know, through it, he's going to go through the benefits of the Turkish Get Up. He's going to break down each position, you know, how it helps you health-wise, how it helps you fitness-wise, how it helps you performance-wise. You know, because the Turkish Get Up can really be used anywhere from weight loss all the way through clinical. You know, there's people who use it in boot camps correctly, and there's clinicians who use it to improve a golf swing. So it really is an inch wide, miles deep movement that if you've done them, you know they're much more challenging than they look. But as a movement specialist, we're looking at areas of mobility and stability and strength and movement patterns that are all being developed in one drill. And so go ahead and dive into this article. It's going to be marked down below, but if you have anything else to add about it?
No, just like you said, this one's a far more in-depth than the one that we did. Ours is the short take on it, and so this is a really good in-depth breakdown, and it's the way we instruct it, and we respect it because it works so well, even though it points out our flaws every single time.
Right.
So learn to love it, learn to respect it, because it'll do so much good for you. So
cool. That's it for this week. If you have questions, let us know. Otherwise, we'll see you next week.
All right, guys.
Our 2 cents. See
Thanks.
ya.